Sleep is generally believed to be a brain process. Our minds tend to slow down and it becomes harder to think or do anything as the sleep pressure builds into the night. If we don't get enough sleep, it makes thinking and focusing the next day a struggle. We also seem to disappear overnight. Our consciousness, the self that the brain mysteriously creates, is simply just gone. We may get flickers of dreams here and there, but mainly it feels like the mind is turned off until it comes back online in the morning. A lot of research also tends to focus on the effects of sleep on the brain, depriving people of sleep to see how dysfunctional they get. The record for this was a full 11 days. Brain activity and sleep patterns are also measured to try to figure out its properties. This helped to discover sleep waves and REM sleep, the phase typically associated to dreaming, and circadian rhythms. People who slept in caves without sunlight followed a roughly 25-hour cycle. There's also the elusive search for the center of consciousness. Since it goes away every night, then there must be some place in the brain that triggers it to come and go, but it still hasn't been found yet. It's also clear that the effects of sleep have strong impacts on the body as well. The lack of proper sleep is related to all kinds of increased risk for disease. It can lead to high blood pressure and cholesterol levels leading to heart disease. It can weaken the immune system and increase inflammation, making it easier to get sick. It throws off our normal hunger and appetites, leading to irregular eating times and weight gain. Not getting enough sleep basically creates chaos in the body. And this makes sense because sleep evolved before brains. Recently, sleep science started expanding beyond humans and animals. It was proposed that simple creatures like insects also sleep despite having small brains or none at all. At first, this idea was scoffed at. It's obvious when mammals sleep because their brains could be measured to confirm it as they lie down and close their eyes. Insect brains couldn't be measured like that. Instead, biologists came up with a behavioral scale that could be applied to any creature of any size. In this new definition, sleep happens when the usual activity slows down and requires some stimulus to wake it back up to normal. Using this measure, the length of sleep cycles could be tracked and also whether they could be sleep deprived. It was a huge surprise when researchers showed that jellyfish slept. Cassiopeia jellyfish regularly pulsed like a beating heart, but they seemed to slow down at night. It would speed back up if their sleep was disturbed. And if they were sleep deprived, they were less active and responsive the next day. It was surprising because jellyfish have no brains. Since then, sleep behavior has been found for other brainless creatures like roundworms and hydras. So what exactly is sleep? One of the main drivers of sleep pressure comes from buildup of adenosine. Drugs that manipulate the effectiveness of adenosine directly affect sleep, like this one, caffeine. Normally, adenosine is released when molecules of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, are used for metabolism. ATP is basically what keeps your cells and you alive by providing energy it needs. What adenosine measures is how much your body is doing, how hard all your cells are working. You get sleepy because the body is telling you it needs a break. When the body, including the brain, does work, it creates a kind of debt. Every process has a cost and needs some level of cleanup. Using muscles take up energy and creates damage that needs repair. Digestion requires making chemicals to break down food and transport them. Brain work causes your neurons to activate and rewire themselves. All of this creates waste to be cleaned up and recycled like ATP. This is why everything gets more sluggish the longer you stay awake. That cup of coffee may mask it for a while, but all it's doing is making your cells work overtime and adding to the debt. Sleeping puts the body into a lower energy state where it doesn't do so much of the usual work and goes into cleanup mode. This is why all kinds of living things have to sleep, not just the ones with brains. Sleep likely evolved long ago as a response to complex metabolism trying to keep its complex systems alive. It is an ancient process that goes back at least as far as jellyfish and hydras, some of the oldest creatures on Earth. It can seem to our conscious thinking selves that sleeping is a waste of time. It is 1/3 of our lives lying down doing nothing. It's a lot of time we'd like to take back and put towards something else if we could. So we pour on that caffeine, stay up and watch another episode, try to squeeze in that extra work, trying so hard to ignore what the body is clearly trying to tell you. You've done enough for today. It's time to rest.